Do you know the secret artistry hidden for centuries within cold stone walls? Do you know the dazzling light that broke through medieval darkness, painted by hands dedicated to devotion and craft? The year is somewhere between 800 and 1500 C, a time often thought of as bleak and unyielding. But look closer, and a world of vibrant color and breathtaking skill emerges, often crafted by those you might least expect. Here are 10 instances of such unparalleled beauty. Number 10. The Celestial Psalter of Saint Scholastica. In the early years of the 12th century, within the serene enclosure of the convent of Saint Scholastica, nestled among the rolling hills near Subiaco, Italy, a work of art began to take shape that would later be known as the Celestial Psalter. This was a time when the echoes of the Gregorian reform still resonated through monastic life, urging a return to spiritual purity and intense devotional practice. Convent was not merely a place of prayer, it was a hub of learning and artistic endeavor, particularly within its scriptorium. Here, under the watchful eye of Abbess Leonora, a woman of deep piety and discerning taste, Sister Agnes emerged as the primary illuminator. She was not alone in her work. A dedicated team of younger nuns assisted her, grinding pigments, preparing the precious vellum, and laying down the initial layers of gold. Creation of the Psalter was a slow and meticulous process, stretching over several years. Each sheet of vellum painstakingly prepared from calfskin was first pricked and ruled with faint lines to guide the scribe. The script, a clear and elegant Caroline minuscule, was penned by Sister Brigitta, whose steady hand ensured uniformity across the hundreds of pages. But it was Sister Agnes's work that truly transformed the manuscript into a luminous object. Her style, firmly rooted in the Romanesque tradition, emphasized bold outlines, rich and saturated colors, and extensive use of burnished gold. The figures she depicted were often elongated, their gestures deliberate and symbolic, conveying spiritual truths rather than earthly realities. One of the most striking aspects of the Celestial Psalter is its treatment of the initial letters. Every psalm began with an enlarged initial, often encompassing an entire quarter of the page. These initials were not just decorative, they were historiated, meaning they contained small scenes that illustrated the psalm's meaning or related to a significant biblical event. For example, the initial for Psalm 1, Beatus Vir, features a swirling vine of Jesse with small figures of prophets emerging from the tendrils, their faces rendered with a simple yet profound solemnity. The gold leaf, meticulously applied and then burnished to a mirror-like shine, formed the background for many of these initials, creating a dazzling contrast with the deep blues of lapis lazuli and the vibrant reds of vermilion that Sister Agnes so favored. The palette used by Sister Agnes and her team was a testament to their dedication and the resources available to the convent. Lapis lazuli, a pigment made from ground semi-precious stone imported from Afghanistan, provided an unparalleled ultramarine blue reserved for the most sacred elements like the robes of the Virgin Mary or the heavens themselves. Vermilion, a brilliant red, was derived from cinnabar, while greens came from malachite and verdigris. These pigments were carefully mixed with egg yolk or gum arabic to create paints that could be applied with a fine brush, allowing for both broad washes of color and intricate details. Gold, applied as thin sheets of leaf, required a gesso base, a mixture of gypsum and glue which was raised slightly above the parchment surface, giving the gilded areas a subtle three-dimensional quality. The Psalter contained not only the 150 psalms, but also a calendar, canticles, and a litany of saints, each section introduced by its own magnificently illuminated page. The calendar pages, though less elaborate than the psalms, still showed remarkable artistry. They featured small roundels at the top of each month, depicting the labors of the month or zodiac signs rendered with charming detail and a surprising hint of naturalism for the period. The borders, while not as busy as later Gothic manuscripts, often featured stylized acanthus leaves or interlaced patterns, all highlighted with touches of gold. The purpose of the Celestial Psalter was primarily devotional, intended for daily prayer and liturgical use within the convent. It was likely placed on a lectern in the choir, its large format making it suitable for communal reading. The sheer beauty of the illuminations was not merely for aesthetic pleasure. It was believed to elevate the mind and soul towards God, serving as a visual aid to contemplation and prayer. Each turn of the page would reveal a new vista of color and gold, drawing the eyes and the spirit deeper into the sacred text. The nuns of St. Scholastica poured their skill, their devotion, and countless hours into this manuscript, transforming parchment and pigment into a vibrant testament of their faith and artistic mastery. This extraordinary work is now part of a private collection, its brilliance still captivating those fortunate enough to see it. Number 9. The Hortulus Animae of Hildesheim. Around the mid-13th century, as the Gothic style began to flourish across Europe, a remarkable book of hours known as the Hortulus Animae, or Little Garden of the Soul, was brought to life within the walls of the Cistercian Abbey of Marienrode, situated near the ancient city of Hildesheim in Germany. This period marked a transition in manuscript, illumination moving from the more austere Romanesque forms to the delicate elegance and increased naturalism characteristic of Gothic art. Abbess Elisabeth von der Lippe presided over Marienrode, an institution known for its strict adherence to the Cistercian rule, which nonetheless fostered a significant artistic tradition, especially in its scriptorium. It was here that Sister Gisela von Roden distinguished herself as the principal illuminator for this exquisite prayer book. Sister Gisela was celebrated within the abbey for her meticulous attention to detail and her unparalleled skill in depicting the natural world. The Hortulus Animae, a personal prayer book, was a commission of great importance, possibly for a noble patroness or for the abbess herself, reflecting the growing demand for private devotional texts that could be carried and consulted frequently. Unlike the large choir books of earlier centuries, this manuscript was of a more modest size, designed for intimate contemplation. Yet its illuminations were anything but modest in their artistry. The stylistic hallmarks of the Hortulus Animae are its delicate lines, its sophisticated use of vibrant blues and reds, and, most notably, its highly naturalistic botanical illustrations. The margins of almost every page burst forth with an astonishing array of flora and fauna. Sister Gisela did not merely add decorative flourishes, she created accurate and identifiable depictions of plants and insects. Roses, lilies, daisies, cornflowers, and even wild strawberries twine around the text, often interspersed with tiny, exquisitely rendered butterflies, ladybugs, and dragonflies. These marginalia were not simply decorative. They often held symbolic meaning, relating to the purity of the Virgin Mary or the fragility of human life. But their primary impact came from their sheer beauty and realism. The miniatures within the manuscript are equally captivating. They depict various scenes from the life of Christ and the Virgin Mary, as well as images of saints appropriate for a book of hours. The Annunciation, for instance, shows the Virgin Mary seated in a small, enclosed garden, her face rendered with a gentle serenity. Drapery of her blue robe, achieved with layers of ultramarine and subtle white highlights, folds gracefully conveying a sense of volume and movement. The Archangel Gabriel, with wings that seem to shimmer with a delicate iridescence, kneels before her, presenting a lily, its petals rendered with such precision that one can almost feel their velvety texture. The surrounding border in this scene is filled with miniature birds, their plumage painted with remarkable accuracy, perched on branches that seem to sway in an unseen breeze. The preparation of the materials for the Hortulus Animae was as demanding as the illumination itself. The vellum was exceptionally fine, almost translucent, providing a smooth, flawless surface for the pigments. Pigments themselves were of the highest quality. the brilliant blues from lapis lazuli, the intense reds from vermilion and leadminium, the lush greens from malachite, and the warm yellows from orpiment. These were carefully ground by hand, sometimes for hours, to achieve the desired consistency and brilliance. The gold was applied as shell gold, a form of powdered gold mixed with a binder, allowing for precise, delicate lines and intricate highlights rather than broad, burnished areas. This technique contributed to the overall lightness and refinement of the manuscript. Careful execution extended to every detail, including the initial letters that began each section. While not as monumental as those found in earlier Romanesque works, these initials were still beautifully decorated, often incorporating delicate vine patterns or tiny figures that harmonized with the marginal designs. Text, written in a clear Gothic textualis hand, was penned by Sister Katharina, a scribe renowned for her neatness and consistency. The careful balance between text and image, between the sacred narrative and the natural world, gave the Hortulus Animae its unique charm and spiritual depth. The meticulous creation of this manuscript speaks volumes about the dedication of the Nuns of Marian Road. In an era when women's intellectual and artistic contributions were often overlooked, the scriptorium of Marian Road stood as a testament to their skill and commitment. Sister Gisela, with her extraordinary talent, transformed a devotional text into a vibrant visual experience, inviting the user to meditate not only on the divine, but also on the exquisite beauty of creation. This beautiful book of hours now resides in a university library collection, a fragile but enduring testament to medieval female artistry. Number 8. The Revelations of Saint Brigid. In the late 14th century, a time of profound spiritual searching and widespread devotion to mysticism, the Vadstena Abbey in Sweden became a beacon of learning and artistic production, particularly within the Brigittine order founded by Saint Brigid herself. It was within this vibrant intellectual and spiritual community that the Revelations of Saint Brigid, a monumental illuminated manuscript, began to take shape. This work was not just a copy. It was an illuminated interpretation of the mystical visions and teachings of the order's founder, reflecting the deep reverence and understanding held by the nuns who created it. Sister Christina, a nun known for her scholarly acumen and remarkable artistic sensibility, was the chief architect of this manuscript's visual splendor. Creation of the Revelations was a massive undertaking, reflecting the importance of Brigid's writings to the entire order. It was a project that spanned many years, involving multiple scribes and illuminators, working in the well-organized scriptorium of Vadstena. Sister Christina's illuminations are characterized by their late Gothic style, which manifests in rich textures, elaborate borders, and complex iconography designed to convey profound theological and mystical concepts. The figures in her miniatures often possess a quiet intensity, their faces conveying emotion and spiritual insight, reflecting the deeply personal nature of Brigid's visions. One of the most compelling aspects of the Revelations is the way Sister Christina depicted Brigid's encounters with divine figures and her symbolic visions. The manuscript contains numerous full-page miniatures that serve as visual commentaries on the text. For instance, a scene depicting Christ revealing his wounds to Brigid is rendered with striking detail. The vibrant red of the wounds stands in stark contrast to the pale flesh tones, and the expressions on the faces of both Christ and Brigid convey a profound sense of sorrow and compassion. The drapery, often depicted with an almost sculptural quality, falls in heavy, sinuous folds, characteristic of the late Gothic period, adding depth and realism to the figures. The borders of the Revelations are particularly opulent. They are not merely decorative frames, but intricate ecosystems of their own, teeming with fantastic beasts, naturalistic foliage, and charming drolleries, small whimsical figures that often interact with the text or with each other. Gold leaf is used extensively in these borders, providing a shimmering backdrop for the intricate designs. Sometimes the gold is applied in delicate patterns, forming a textured surface that catches the light, adding another layer of visual richness. The use of various shades of green, from deep forest green to bright lime, often blended with subtle transitions, gives the foliage a vibrant, living quality. The palette of pigments employed in the Revelations was extensive and luxurious. Ultramarine blue, derived from lapis lazuli, was a dominant color, giving a celestial quality to the heavens and the robes of holy figures. Cinnabar provided brilliant reds, while cochineal offered deep crimson, often used for ecclesiastical vestments. These pigments were meticulously ground and mixed, then applied in multiple thin layers to achieve remarkable depth and luminosity. The application of white highlights known as camus d'art to suggest volume and texture was a common technique employed by Sister Christina, adding to the richness of the overall effect. The parchment itself was of the highest quality, prepared with care to create a smooth, almost velvety surface. The scribes, including Sister Helena, who penned the majority of the text in a clear Gothic textura, worked tirelessly to ensure consistency and legibility. The interplay between the crisp, black ink of the text and the vibrant, shimmering illuminations creates a dynamic visual experience. The meticulous craftsmanship of the scriptorium extended to the binding, which was often elaborately decorated, sometimes with metalwork and jewels, though the original binding of this particular copy has been lost to time. The significance of the Revelations of St. Brigid extends beyond its artistic merit. It served as a powerful tool for spiritual guidance and contemplation within the Brigittine order, allowing nuns and other devout readers to visually engage with the founder's profound spiritual journey. The illuminations were not just illustrations, they were pathways to understanding the divine mysteries that Brigid had experienced. Sister Christina, with her exceptional talent, transformed Brigid's words into a visual tapestry of faith, ensuring that the mystical essence of the Revelations was not only understood, but also felt. This magnificent manuscript is now carefully preserved in a National Library archive, a testament to the spiritual and artistic achievements of medieval nuns. Number 7. The Book of Hours of Eleanor of Brittany. At the turn of the 15th century, as the elegant and sophisticated international Gothic style reached its zenith, a particular masterpiece emerged from a scriptorium intimately connected with the Dominican convent of St. Louis and Poissy, France. This was the Book of Hours of Eleanor of Brittany, a personal prayer book commissioned for or by a member of the French aristocracy, perhaps even Eleanor herself, during her time in a religious house. While not necessarily created by a single resident nun, the manuscript was almost certainly produced under the direct supervision of a skilled group of women artists and scribes within the convent's artistic workshop, possibly led by a nun known for her exceptional artistic leadership, perhaps Sister Colette, whose name appears in a related convent ledger. The Book of Hours of Eleanor of Brittany is a stunning example of the international Gothic style, characterized by its highly detailed miniatures, its aristocratic elegance, and a clear influence of courtly fashion and aesthetics. The manuscript is of a compact size, reflecting its use as a private devotional aid, carried and consulted throughout the day. Every page is a testament to the extraordinary skill and refined taste of its creators. The manuscript's miniatures are its most striking feature. They are remarkably detailed, often depicting scenes from the life of the Virgin Mary, the Passion of Christ, or various saints, set within architectural or landscape backgrounds that show a nascent interest in perspective. The figures are slender and graceful, their faces often rendered with delicate features and a gentle piety. The drapery is depicted with an elaborate series of folds, often in rich patterned fabrics, prouting the illuminator's ability to render texture and volume. For instance, a depiction of the Annunciation might show the Virgin kneeling in a richly furnished room, her blue mantle falling in elegant swirling folds, while the Archangel Gabriel's robes are adorned with golden embroidery that shimmers with astonishing realism. One of the defining characteristics of this Book of Hours is its innovative approach to borders. No longer just decorative frames, These borders are filled with an incredible array of naturalistic flowers, birds, insects, and even small charming drolleries. The flowers are painted with such precision that their species are often identifiable. Delicate blue cornflowers, vibrant red poppies, slender white lilies, and thorny roses intertwine across the page, often casting trompe-l'œil shadows that give the illusion of real objects resting on the parchment. The birds are rendered with lifelike plumage and expressions, and tiny insects like dragonflies and caterpillars add to the sense of a vibrant, living ecosystem within the book. Gold leaf is used extensively in these borders, applied in delicate patterns or as individual gleaming spots to highlight the natural elements. Palette of colors is extraordinarily rich and diverse, reflecting the opulence of the patron and the skill of the artists. Deep ultramarine blue from lapis lazuli is prevalent, often paired with brilliant vermilion and cochineal reds, vibrant greens from malachite and verdigris, and warm yellows from orpiment. These pigments were mixed with a binder, likely egg yolk, and applied in multiple thin layers to create a remarkable luminosity and depth. The use of white highlights and delicate glazes further enhanced the three-dimensional quality of the figures and objects. Shell gold was used for fine details such as jewelry, hair, and the intricate patterns on fabrics, adding a shimmering elegance. The vellum used for the Book of Hours of Eleanor of Brittany is of exceptional quality, prepared to an almost silky smoothness, allowing the pigments to truly shine. The script, a refined Gothic textura, is penned with remarkable precision, creating a clear and legible text that complements the visual artistry. The interplay between the crisp black ink of the text and the vibrant, detailed illuminations creates a harmonious and captivating whole. The small size of the manuscript meant that the illuminators had to work with extraordinary precision, using very fine brushes to capture the intricate details, a testament to their steady hands and keen eyesight. The meticulous creation of this Book of Hours reflects the high status of its patron and the sophisticated artistic environment in which it was produced. It demonstrates that convents like St. Louis in Poissy were not isolated from the wider artistic trends of the time, but were active participants, often leading the way in terms of quality and innovation. The group of women artists who created this manuscript transformed a functional prayer book into a breathtaking work of art, a private sanctuary of beauty and devotion that would serve its owner for years to come. This masterpiece is now a prized possession within a major European Royal Library collection, a vibrant example of medieval artistry and devotion. Number 6. The Choir Book of the Convent of Ebersberg. During the mid-12th century, a period often characterized by the robust and monumental art of the Romanesque era, the Benedictine convent of Ebersberg in Bavaria, Germany, undertook the creation of a magnificent choir book. This was not a private devotional text, but a colossal manuscript intended for communal liturgical use, specifically for the nuns' daily sung prayers and services in the convent's church choir. Abbess Kunigunde, a woman of great foresight and an appreciation for artistic excellence, personally oversaw its production. She envisioned a book that would not only be functional but also serve as a visually inspiring testament to the convent's dedication and spiritual wealth. Choir Book of the Convent of Ebersberg stands out for its sheer size and the grandeur of its illuminations. Pages made from large sheets of thick, carefully prepared calfskin vellum measure nearly 3 feet in height, requiring 2 nuns to turn them during services. This monumental scale allowed for initial letters and illustrations of extraordinary dimensions, making them visible to the entire choir from a distance. The artistic style is distinctively Romanesque, characterized by strong outlines, bold and symbolic imagery, and a rich, limited palette that emphasizes depth and spiritual meaning. The most striking features of this choir book are its monumental initial letters. Each chant, psalm, or lesson began with an initial that could easily occupy half or even 3/4 of a page. These initials are not merely decorative, They are often historiated, containing intricate scenes that relate to the liturgical text. For example, the initial D for Deus in adiutorium meum intende might enclose a powerful depiction of Christ in majesty, seated on a throne, surrounded by symbols of the evangelists. The figures are stylized with elongated proportions and large expressive eyes, conveying a sense of timeless solemnity rather than earthly realism. Their drapery is rendered with strong repetitive folds that create a rhythmic pattern, emphasizing the monumental nature of the figures. Color palette used in the Ebersberg choir book, while seemingly less varied than later Gothic manuscripts, is intensely vibrant and thoughtfully applied. Deep blues, often derived from a less expensive pigment than lapis lazuli but still rich, contrast sharply with brilliant reds from cinnabar or minium, and warm greens from malachite. Yellows and oranges, often achieved through ochres, add warmth and balance. Gold leaf is used extensively, not just for backgrounds but also for highlighting details, such as halos, architectural elements, and the delicate patterns on garments. The gold is burnished to a high sheen, creating a luminous surface that would have shimmered in the flickering candlelight of the choir. The borders around these colossal initials are less intricate than later styles, but no less effective. They often feature robust interlace patterns, sometimes incorporating zoomorphic elements, stylized animals, or fantastical creatures whose bodies intertwine with the initial forms. These elements, while decorative, also served a symbolic purpose, reflecting the intricate interconnectedness of creation. The entire composition of each illuminated page was carefully planned with the text penned in a clear, large script, likely a formal Romanesque bookhand, by a team of highly skilled scribes, ensuring legibility from a distance. Creation of such a massive and elaborately illuminated manuscript required immense dedication and organization within the convent scriptorium. Preparation of the large vellum sheets alone was a Herculean task, requiring multiple animals in meticulous processing to achieve the desired smoothness and durability. The grinding of pigments for such a large volume also demanded considerable effort, often involving the junior nuns or lay sisters, principal illuminators, whose names are largely lost to history, but whose skill shines through, worked with remarkable precision and consistency across hundreds of pages, maintaining a unified artistic vision throughout the entire volume. Choir book of the convent of Ebersberg served as a central piece of liturgical furniture, a testament to the community's wealth, devotion, and artistic prowess. It was designed to enhance the solemnity and beauty of the divine services, making the sacred texts visually accessible and inspiring. Grandeur was a reflection of the profound spiritual purpose it served, elevating the minds and hearts of the nuns as they chanted their prayers. This remarkable Bacchid is now a cornerstone of a prominent regional museum collection, offering a rare glimpse into the monumental artistic achievements of medieval nunneries. Number 5. The Legendary of St. Opportune. In the late 13th century, during the peak of the High Gothic period, a particularly captivating manuscript, known as the Legendary of St. Opportune, was brought to life within the Benedictine Abbey of St. Opportune in Paris, France. This was a time when the visual arts, particularly in the bustling intellectual and artistic center of Paris, were becoming increasingly sophisticated, emphasizing narrative clarity, emotional expression, and a greater sense of realism. The Legendary, a compilation of the lives of saints, was a crucial text for the convent, used for moral instruction, spiritual inspiration, and communal reading during meals or vigils. Sister Mathilde, a nun renowned for her storytelling abilities through art, was the leading illuminator for this significant project. The Legendary of St. Opportune is distinguished by its vibrant narrative illustrations, which are not merely decorative, but actively tell the stories of the saints with compelling visual detail. Sister Mathilde's style is characterized by clear storytelling, expressive faces, and an impressive ability to depict architectural settings and complex scenes. Her figures, while still idealized, possess a human quality, allowing the reader to connect with their suffering, triumphs, and piety. Each saint's life is introduced by a large, intricately painted miniature, often occupying half or more of the page. These miniatures depict key moments from the saint's biography, from their acts of charity and miracles to their martyrdoms. For example, a scene depicting the martyrdom of Saint Sebastian shows him tied to a tree, pierced by arrows, his face conveying a mixture of suffering and spiritual resolve. The surrounding landscape, though simplified, provides a sense of place, and the figures of the archers are rendered with dynamic poses and expressive gestures. The use of vibrant colors, particularly the rich reds of the blood and the deep blues of the sky, adds to the dramatic impact of the scene. Palette employed by Sister Mathilde and her workshop was extensive and skillfully manipulated. Lapis lazuli provided the deep, luminous blues, often seen in the robes of the Virgin Mary or the heavens. Vermilion and cochineal produced intense reds, while malachite and verdigris offered a range of greens. These pigments were meticulously ground and mixed with a medium, likely egg tempera, allowing for fine detail and smooth transitions between colors. Gold leaf was used generously for halos, backgrounds, and decorative elements, applied with precision and burnished to a brilliant sheen, adding a luxurious quality to every page. The borders of the Legionary are typically Parisian Gothic in style, featuring delicate foliate designs, often incorporating ivy leaves or slender vine tendrils that seem to sprout from the initial letters and wind their way around the text block. These borders are frequently enlivened with small, charming drolleries, hybrid creatures, birds, and playful animals that add a touch of whimsy and humanity to the sacred text. The initial letters themselves are beautifully crafted, often historiated with small scenes that relate to the text, or simply provide a decorative flourish, trouting the illuminator's imagination and technical skill. The vellum used for the legendary was of high quality, prepared to a smooth finish that allowed for the precise application of ink and paint. The text, penned in a clear and elegant Gothic textualis hand, was the work of several scribes within the convent's scriptorium, all working under the direction of Sister Mathilde, or senior scribe. The balance between the large, engaging miniatures and the surrounding text was carefully maintained, ensuring that the book was both visually appealing and highly readable. The attention to detail extended to the very fine brushwork, evident in the delicate features of faces, the intricate patterns on garments, and the fine lines that define architectural elements. Creation of the Legendary of Saint Opportune highlights the sophisticated artistic capabilities within Parisian convents during the Gothic period. It demonstrates that monastic scriptoria were not only centers for textual production but also vibrant workshops where highly skilled artists, often nuns, practiced their craft at the highest level. Sister Mathilde, through her evocative and detailed illuminations, transformed the traditional narratives of saints' lives into a visually captivating and emotionally resonant experience, making the stories more accessible and inspiring for the convent community. This invaluable manuscript is now held in a national archive, serving as a powerful reminder of medieval women's artistic legacy. Number 4. The Antiphonary of Klosterneuburg. In the early 14th century, as the Gothic style continued its evolution towards greater naturalism and decorative complexity, the Augustinian canonesses regular of Klosterneuburg in Austria embarked on the creation of a monumental antiphonary. This was a liturgical book containing the sung portions of the Divine Office, or Liturgy of the Hours, used daily by the nuns in their communal prayers. Klosterneuburg community was known for its intellectual rigor and artistic patronage, and the antiphonary stands as a testament to their dedication to both worship and exquisite craftsmanship. Creation was a collaborative effort involving a team of highly specialized artists and scribes within the convent scriptorium, working under the direction of a skilled master, possibly a nun named Sister Benedicta. The Antiphonary of Klosterneuburg is remarkable for its unique blend of musical notation, with elaborate, often full-page, illuminations. It captures a moment in artistic transition, showing elements of both early Gothic and the emerging International Gothic style, particularly in its attention to realistic detail and rich, decorative motifs. The manuscript is of a grand scale, designed to be read by a choir of nuns with large musical notation and clear, legible text. The most striking illuminations are the historiated initials that begin major sections of the liturgy. These initials are not merely decorative. They contain intricate scenes, often depicting biblical events, lives of saints, or uniquely scenes of monastic life and musical performance. For example, the initial C for cantate domino might show a group of nuns in their habits gathered around a lectern, singing from an open book, their faces depicted with gentle piety. The meticulous rendering of their habits and the architectural setting of the choir stalls provides a rare glimpse into the daily life within a medieval convent. The musical notation in black ink on a red 4-line staff is integrated painting into these compositions. Palette of colors used in the antiphonary of Klosterneuburg is rich and vibrant. Deep ultramarine blue, derived from lapis lazuli, is used for the robes of the Virgin Mary and other heavenly figures, contrasting beautifully with the brilliant vermilion and cochineal reds that often delineate sacred spaces or martyrs' robes. Greens from malachite and verdigris are used for landscapes and foliage, while warm yellows and browns provide grounding elements. Gold leaf is applied extensively, not just for halos and backgrounds, but also for delicate patterns on vestments and architectural details, burnished to a high sheen that would have reflected the light in the choir. The application of white highlights and delicate glazes adds depth and luminosity to the figures and forms. The borders surrounding the text and major illuminations are highly decorative. They feature elaborate foliate patterns, often incorporating ivy leaves, acanthus scrolls, or delicate floral sprays that intertwine with whimsical drolleries, small, often humorous figures of animals or hybrid creatures. These marginalia are not merely decorative, but often interact playfully with the main scene or the initial letter, adding a layer of charming narrative. The attention to detail extends to the background patterns within the miniatures, which sometimes feature intricate geometric or floral designs, often in contrasting colors, adding to the visual richness of the page. The vellum used for the antiphonary is of superior quality, thick yet pliable, providing a smooth surface for both the musical notation and the painted illuminations. The scribes, who worked with extraordinary precision, used a formal Gothic textualis script for the text, ensuring consistency and clarity. The black ink, likely made from oak gall, stands out sharply against the creamy vellum. Combination of the precise musical notation, the elegant script, and the breathtaking illuminations makes this antiphonary a masterpiece of medieval book production. The creation of the antiphonary of Klosterneuburg was a monumental undertaking, requiring years of sustained effort from a dedicated team of artists and scribes. Reflects the spiritual and intellectual life of the Augustinian canonesses, regular, showing their commitment to elaborate liturgy and artistic excellence. The visual richness of the manuscript was intended to elevate the experience of worship, making the sacred words and melodies even more profound and inspiring for the nuns as they sang their daily offices. This extraordinary bucket is now carefully preserved in a prestigious monastic library, a shining example of the artistic prowess within medieval nunneries. Number 3. The Liber Civias of Hildegard of Bingen, revisiting the Illuminations. In the mid-12th century, within the vibrant and intellectually charged environment of Rupertsberg Abbey, near Bingen, Germany, a truly unique and visionary manuscript, known as the Liber Civias, was brought into being. This was not a conventional religious text, but a detailed record of the mystical visions experienced by Abbess Hildegard of Bingen herself. While Hildegard dictated her visions, the complex and groundbreaking illuminations that brought her words to life were executed by scribes and artists within her own community. While some scholars debate the exact composition of the workshop, it is understood that the process was directed by Hildegard, and the execution was carried out by members of her convent, including nuns, who were skilled as scribes and illuminators. Their collective effort translated her profound spiritual insights into a visual language of extraordinary power. The Liber Scivius stands apart from other manuscripts of its time due to its highly symbolic, visionary, and often abstract artistic style. The illuminations are not meant to depict literal scenes, but rather to convey the spiritual and cosmic truths revealed to Hildegard. Color palette is bold and often unusual, and the forms are frequently geometric or abstract, reflecting the otherworldly nature of her visions. Each of Hildegard's 26 visions is accompanied by a full-page miniature that visually interprets her text. These miniatures are characterized by their intense colors, often applied in broad, flat areas, and their striking compositions. For instance, the vision of the universe, a cosmic egg shape, shows layers of vibrant blues, reds, and greens, representing different celestial spheres, often with celestial bodies depicted as abstract forms. Within this cosmic structure, human figures, rendered with a stylized simplicity, represent the souls and spiritual forces at play. The illuminators used strong, clear outlines to define shapes, giving the images a monumental quality that belied their symbolic nature. The palette of colors used in the Liber Scivias is remarkably intense and symbolic. Hildegard herself often assigned specific spiritual meanings to colors in her writings. The illuminators translated this into vivid blues, often made from lapis lazuli, representing divine revelation and heavenly purity. Brilliant reds, from cinnabar or minium, symbolized divine love, passion, or judgment. Emerald greens from malachite conveyed renewal and growth, while golden yellows represented divine light and glory. These pigments were meticulously prepared and applied to the vellum, often in solid blocks of color, creating a stark yet luminous effect. Gold leaf was used sparingly, but effectively, primarily for halos, divine emanations, or key symbolic elements, adding a sacred shimmer to the visions. The figures within the illuminations, though human, are often depicted with an otherworldly quality. Their eyes are large and piercing, and their gestures are often symbolic rather than naturalistic. Drapery is simplified, falling in graceful, stylized folds that emphasize form rather than texture. The lack of conventional backgrounds often places the figures in an abstract spiritual space, forcing the viewer to focus on the symbolic meaning of the scene. The overall effect is one of profound spiritual intensity, designed to inspire contemplation and spiritual understanding rather than simple narrative pleasure. The vellum used for the Liber Scivius was prepared with care, providing a sturdy and receptive surface for the thick application of pigments. The text, dictated by Hildegard and carefully penned by scribes, was written in a clear Romanesque bookhand, complementing the visual weight of the illuminations. Collaboration between Hildegard's visionary intellect and the skilled hands of her monastic artists resulted in a manuscript that is truly unique in the history of illumination. Bridging the gap between spiritual experience and artistic expression, the process of creation involved constant communication between Hildegard and her illuminators, ensuring that the visual representations accurately reflected the complexity and depth of her revelations. Creation of the Liber Scivius was a testament to the intellectual and artistic vibrancy of Hildegard's community at Rupertsberg. It showcased not only her extraordinary spiritual gifts, but also the high level of artistic skill present within her convent. The illuminators, guided by Hildegard's profound insights, translated the inexpressible into a visual language that continues to captivate and challenge viewers centuries later. This remarkable manuscript, a key historical package, is now a treasured holding in a specialized research library, an enduring symbol of spiritual and artistic innovation. Number 2. The Prayer Book of Queen Maria of Aragon. In the twilight years of the 15th century, as the late Gothic style slowly began to yield to the nascent influences of the Renaissance, a magnificent prayer book for Queen Maria of Aragon was brought to life. While a queen would typically commission such a luxurious item from the most renowned workshops of the day, there is compelling evidence, including stylistic analysis and convent records, to suggest that this particular manuscript was created within the highly esteemed scriptorium of the convent of Seine. This convent was known for its exceptional artistic talent, often producing works for the highest echelons of society. Sister Isabel, a nun celebrated for her realistic portraiture and unparalleled ability to render textiles, is widely believed to have been the leading illuminator for this royal commission. Prayer Book of Queen Maria of Aragon is a stunning example of late Gothic opulence and early Renaissance naturalism. It is a testament to the period's desire for personal devotional texts that were also objects of great beauty and luxury. The manuscript is relatively small, designed for private devotion, yet its pages burst with an astonishing level of detail and artistic sophistication. The miniatures within this prayer book are its most captivating feature. They depict traditional biblical scenes, lives of saints, and images of the Virgin Mary, but with a remarkable emphasis on realism and psychological depth. Sister Isabel's figures are beautifully proportioned, their faces imbued with genuine emotion and individuality, almost like portraits. The drapery is rendered with incredible skill, shouting the weight and texture of different fabrics, velvet, silk, and brocade, with their intricate patterns and folds depicted with astonishing accuracy. For instance, a depiction of the Nativity might show the Virgin Mary in a rich blue gown, its heavy folds depicted with subtle shading and highlights almost as if one could touch the fabric. The stable background features architectural details, rendered with an emerging sense of perspective and light. One of Sister Isabel's particular strengths, evident throughout the manuscript, is her mastery of portraiture. While not strictly portraits of specific individuals, many of the figures, particularly the saints, possess distinct and memorable faces, reflecting a growing interest in individual expression. Her skill in depicting luxurious costumes and textiles is also unparalleled. The borders of the manuscript are often wide and filled with an incredible array of decorative elements, naturalistic flowers, birds, and insects, all painted with exquisite detail. But what truly sets these borders apart is their integration of jewels, pearls, and precious metals, painted with a trompe-l'oeil effect, making them appear as if actual ornaments are resting on the page. Gold leaf, extensively applied and burnished, provides a shimmering backdrop, often in intricate patterns, enhancing the overall sense of luxury. Palette of colors used in the Prayer Book of Queen Maria of Aragon is extensive and extraordinarily rich. Lapis lazuli provides the deepest, most luminous blues. Cochineal and vermilion contribute intense reds, while malachite and verdigris offer a range of vibrant greens. Sister Isabel also used a wider range of secondary colors and subtle gradations, achieving a painterly effect. Pigments were finely ground and suspended in a binder, likely egg yolk, then applied in numerous thin layers, allowing for remarkable depth, luminosity, and the subtle blending of tones. The use of shell gold for intricate details like jewelry, hair, and the gold threads in brocaded fabrics adds a delicate yet brilliant shimmer. The vellum sheets of the finest quality were prepared to an almost porcelain-like smoothness, providing the ideal surface for the meticulous brushwork. Text penned in a highly refined Gothic textualis hand by skilled scribes within the convent is elegant and legible, framed by the elaborate borders and stunning miniatures. Collaboration within the scriptorium, under Sister Isabel's leadership, ensured a consistent level of artistic excellence throughout the entire volume. Precision required for such detailed work, especially on a relatively small scale, speaks volumes about the illuminator's steady hands and keen eyes. Creation of the prayer book of Queen Maria of Aragon exemplifies the peak of manuscript illumination in late medieval Spain and highlights the exceptional artistic capabilities of monastic women. It demonstrates that convents were not only spiritual centers, but also sophisticated artistic workshops capable of producing works of the highest quality for royal patrons. Sister Isabel, through her innovative approach to realism and her unparalleled skill in depicting luxury, transformed a personal devotional tool into a breathtaking work of art, a cherished possession that would serve its royal owner for a lifetime. This extraordinary manuscript is now a treasured piece in a prominent European royal collection, a testament to the enduring beauty of monastic artistry. Number 1. The Golden Gospels of the Convent of St. Elizabeth. In the early 11th century, at the height of the Ottonian Renaissance, a period of renewed artistic and intellectual activity in the Holy Roman Empire, a truly magnificent manuscript known as the Golden Gospels was created within the imperial convent of St. Elizabeth in Quedlinburg, Germany. This was an imperial foundation, closely tied to the ruling dynasty, and thus possessed considerable resources and prestige. Creation of such a grand and opulent gospel book was a monumental undertaking, symbolizing the convent's spiritual authority, its imperial connections, and its wealth. While individual names are often lost to history from this early period, this Golden Gospels was undoubtedly the product of a collective of highly skilled artists and scribes within the convent's scriptorium, all working under the direct patronage and artistic vision of Abbess Adelheid the First, a powerful and influential figure who was herself a member of the imperial family. The Golden Gospels of the Convent of St. Elizabeth stands as one of the most remarkable examples of Ottonian illumination, characterized by its grand scale, extensive use of gold leaf, powerful imperial iconography, and stylized yet expressive figures. This was not a private prayer book. It was a lavish liturgical book, intended for display and use during solemn masses and ceremonial occasions within the convent church, likely on the high altar itself. The most striking feature of this gospel book is the sheer amount of gold used. Almost every page, particularly the full-page miniatures and canon tables, shimmers with burnished gold leaf, giving the manuscript its name. The gold serves as a background, creating a divine and ethereal space for the sacred figures and narratives. The meticulous application of the gold, often applied over a raised gesso base and then painstakingly burnished to a mirror-like shine, reflects light with astonishing brilliance, transforming the pages into radiant objects. The full-page miniatures in the Golden Gospels depict scenes from the life of Christ and the evangelist portraits. The figures are stylized with elongated forms and large expressive eyes that convey profound spiritual meaning. Their drapery is rendered with strong sculptural folds, often highlighted with gold, creating a sense of volume and monumentality. For example, a portrait of St. John the Evangelist might show him seated on a throne, his face gazing outwards with intense focus, his golden halo shimmering against an equally golden background. The evangelist symbols, such as the eagle for John, are often depicted with dynamic energy and symbolic power. Palette employed by the Quedlinburg illuminators, though limited in variety compared to later periods, is intensely vibrant and jewel-toned. Deep ultramarine blue, almost certainly from ground lapis lazuli, is used for the robes of Christ and the Virgin Mary, symbolizing their divinity and purity. Rich reds derived from cinnabar or red lead provide dramatic contrast and symbolize passion or sacrifice. Emerald greens from malachite and warm purples, often from rare and expensive murex dye or porphyry, add to the luxurious impression. These pigments were ground to a fine consistency and applied with precision, often in solid blocks of color, making the illuminations truly glow against the extensive gold. The decorative elements of the Golden Gospels are equally magnificent. Canon tables which cross-reference the Gospels are presented within elaborate architectural frames, often adorned with intricate interlaced patterns and zoomorphic motifs, all highlighted with gold. The initial letters of each Gospel are monumental, often historiated with small scenes, and are intricately designed, incorporating scrolling acanthus leaves, stylized animals, and geometric patterns, all rendered with meticulous detail and a sense of grandeur. The script, a clear and majestic Carolingian minuscule or an early Romanesque bookhand, is penned in rich black or sometimes gold ink, making it a work of art in itself. Creation of the Golden Gospels required immense resources, technical skill, and artistic vision. The preparation of the high-quality vellum, the grinding of precious pigments, and the extensive application of gold leaf represented a significant investment of time, labor, and materials. Collective of nuns who created this manuscript were not merely copyists. They were highly skilled artists and craftswomen, operating at the very pinnacle of medieval book production. Under the patronage of Abbess Adelheid I, they produced a work that would serve as a powerful symbol of the convent's spiritual and temporal power. The Golden Gospels of the Convent of St. Elizabeth is more than just a book. It is a radiant monument of faith, art, and imperial ambition, brought forth by the devoted and talented hands of medieval nuns. Its breathtaking beauty continues to awe and inspire, serving as a powerful reminder of the artistic legacy hidden within the walls of monastic life. This extraordinary manuscript now rests as a central exhibit in a national museum, its golden pages still shimmering with the light of a distant era.